In 33 AD, a Roman senator walked into a bank and couldn't get his money back. Within weeks, the entire Roman financial system had frozen. Real estate prices crashed. Debtors sold themselves into slavery. Banks refused to open their doors. And Emperor Tiberius did something no ruler had ever done before. He printed money. 2,000 years before 2008, the first government bailout in history. This is not a story about ancient Rome. This is a story about debt, about leverage, about what happens when the system that runs the world suddenly stops working, and about who gets saved and who doesn't. The year is 33 AD. Let's go back to Rome. To understand the crisis, we must understand the man who ruled Rome. Tiberius was not a popular emperor. He was cold, calculating, and deeply paranoid. Unlike his predecessor Augustus, who spent lavishly on public works, handouts, and military glory, Tiberius was frugal, almost miserly. He ran a budget surplus. He stockpiled gold and silver in the imperial treasury. He did not conquer new lands. He did not plunder new treasures. For most of his reign, this caution worked. Inflation stayed low. Interest rates remained stable. But there was a hidden problem. Rome's economy ran on conquest. The Republic and early empire had grown rich on war spoils, gold, silver, slaves, and land flowing in from Egypt, Gaul, and the East. Under Tiberius, that tap was turned off. At the same time, silver and gold were leaking out of the empire. Wealthy Romans spent fortunes on silk from China, spices from India, and luxury goods from the East. The money supply was shrinking. Prices began to fall. And then, a political explosion. In 31 AD, Tiberius discovered a conspiracy. Sejanus, the commander of the Praetorian Guard, his most trusted advisor, had been plotting to seize power. The emperor responded with brutal efficiency. Sejanus was arrested and executed. His followers were hunted down. Their property was confiscated by the state. For 2 years, the imperial treasury swelled with seized estates, villas, and farmlands. But there was a hidden cost. These properties were not simply added to the state's holdings. They were sold, often at auction, often cheaply, often to the same wealthy senators who had once owned them. The sales required credit. Senators borrowed from banks. Banks lent against land. And the land itself was losing value. Then came the harvest. In 32 AD, a poor grain harvest struck Italy. Farmers could not pay their debts. Land prices began to slide. The stage was set for disaster. Now, the moment that turned a slowdown into a crisis. Julius Caesar had passed a law nearly a century earlier. A simple rule: lenders must invest 2/3 of their capital in Italian farmland. The law was meant to keep money flowing into agriculture, but for decades, no one had enforced it. In 33 AD, someone complained. The Senate was forced to act. Tiberius gave lenders a grace period of 18 months to bring their holdings into compliance. The result was panic. Every banker, every moneylender, every wealthy senator suddenly needed to buy Italian land. They called in loans. They demanded repayment. They stopped issuing new credit. The money supply collapsed. Borrowers could not pay. Debtors sold land to raise cash, but everyone else was selling too. Prices cratered. Tacitus described the scene. There was a scarcity of money, and all credit was shaken while many lawsuits broke out. Banks began to fail. A bank run started. Within weeks, the Roman financial system was frozen. The crisis hit the Roman elite hardest. According to Tacitus, nearly every senator was in violation of the law. Many faced financial ruin. The Senate gathered. Voices rose. Accusations flew. One senator, Publius Spinther, demanded repayment of 30 million sesterces from two prominent bankers, Balbus and Ollius. They could not pay. The debt had vanished into the collapsing market. More lawsuits followed. More debts were called. More land was dumped on the market at fire sale prices. The Senate tried to fix the problem. They passed a decree ordering lenders to invest even more in Italian land. It backfired spectacularly. Bankers hoarded cash instead of lending, preparing for the forced purchases. Tacitus wrote that there was a great scarcity of money, while the price of land fell drastically because the abundance of debtors could not find any buyers. The elite was trapped. The poor, as always, were invisible to the historians. But they suffered too. Desperate debtors began selling not just land, but their freedom. Free citizens sold themselves into slavery to pay their debts. Rome was tearing itself apart. Tiberius had watched the chaos from his private island retreat on Capri. Now, he decided to act. He summoned the Senate. He appointed a commission of 5 senior statesmen. And then he did something unprecedented. He ordered 100 million sesterces taken from the imperial treasury. These funds would be loaned to distressed landowners, interest-free, for 3 years. There was a catch. Borrowers had to pledge Italian land worth twice the loan amount as collateral. This was not charity. This was a calculated move to stop the collapse of land prices. Tiberius was not saving the poor. He was saving the system that kept him in power. For the first time in recorded history, a government had stepped in to bail out its own financial system. Tacitus writes that credit was gradually restored and private lenders began to reappear. The panic stopped. The crisis ended. Rome survived. But the precedent was set. The bailout worked for the elite. Land prices stabilized. Banks reopened. Credit flowed again. But what about the ordinary Romans who had sold themselves into slavery? The small farmers who lost everything? History does not record their fate. Tacitus and his contemporaries only cared about the ruling class. The poor were invisible to them. What we do know is that Tiberius did not lose personally from the crisis. At the end of 33 AD, the richest man in Spain was suddenly accused of treason. His estate, valued at exactly 100 million sesterces, was confiscated by the emperor. Convenient. The treasury was refilled. The crisis faded from memory, and Tiberius continued his reign until his death in 37 AD. But the damage was done. The first financial crisis had proven something terrifying. Even the most powerful empire in history was not immune to the logic of debt, leverage, and panic. What does a 2,000-year-old crisis tell us about today? 3 lessons. First, credit crunches are older than banks. In 33 AD, Roman credit dried up in 6 weeks. In 2008, global credit markets froze in 72 hours. In 2023, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed in 48 hours. The speed increases. The mechanism is identical. When lenders lose confidence, money disappears. It happened in Rome. It will happen again. Second, bailouts are never fair. Tiberius saved the senators. He forgot the slaves. The Fed saved the banks. It forgot the mortgage holders. The ECB saved the bonds. It forgot the pensioners. The names change. The pattern never does. Those who build the system are always rescued first. Third, and this is the most important, the crisis of 33 AD was not caused by a plague or an invasion or a natural disaster. It was caused by a bad law, enforced at the wrong time, in a fragile system. Rome's economy had been built on conquest. When the conquest stopped, the money stopped. The elite kept spending. The poor kept struggling. And when the reckoning came, the powerful protected themselves. Sound familiar? In 2026, global debt stands at $315 trillion. Real estate markets are cooling on 3 continents. Banks are once again taking risks they do not fully understand. Tiberius had 100 million sesterces to stop the collapse. We have central banks with unlimited printing capacity. The names have changed. The togas are gone. But the mathematics of panic is exactly the same.